أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم الحمد لله رب العالمين الصلاة والسلام على رسولنا محمد وعلى آله وأصحابه وأتباعه وسلم. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullah. So, inshallah, we are starting a topic as a follow-up to our discussion with prophethood, although it's going to feel like a little bit out of place, but inshallah, we will see how it can get connected to. This is from 24th word, 5th branch. 373, page 373 in the books that you have. And we need somebody to read. Who is volunteering to read for us?
We don't have Ahmed.
Yeah, Ahmed is not here. So volunteers, no. Volunteers to read. Nibras reads too fast. Yeah, Nibras is reading too fast. He can understand that it's this speed, but we cannot. So.
Still fifth branch. The fifth branch has 5 fruits. First fruit. O my self-worshipping soul, O my world-worshipping friend. Love is the cause of universe's existence and what binds it. And it is both the light of this universe and its life. Since man is the most comprehensive fruit of the universe, a love that will conquer of the universe has been included in his heart. The seed of that fruit. Thus, only one possessing infinite perfection may be worthy of such an infinite love. O soul and O friend, 2 faculties through which one experience fear and love have been included in man's nature. This love and fear are bound to be turned towards either creatures or creator. However, fear of creatures is a grievous affliction, while love for them is a calamitous tribulation. For you will fear people who will neither pity you nor accept your pleas for mercy. So fear is a grievous calamity. As for love, the one you love will either not recognize you or will depart without bidding you farewell, like your youth and property. Or else he will despise you because of your love. Have you not noticed that in 99 out of 100 cases of metaphorical love, the lover complains about the beloved? For to love and idolize worldly beloveds with the inner heart, which is the mirror of the eternally besought one, oppress the beloved, and he finds it disagreeable and rejected, because man's nature rejects and casts away that are contrary to it and unworthy of it. Physical loves are outside of our discussion. That is to say, the things you love either you will not recognize you, or they will scorn you, or they will not accompany you. They will part from you in spite of you. Since this is so, direct your love and love to the one by whom your fear will become pleasurable abasement and your love shadowless happiness. Yes, to fear the glorious Creator means finding a way to his compassionate mercy and taking refuge in it. Fear is a whip. It drives you into embrace of his mercy. It is well known that a mother gently scares her infant, for example, and draws it to her breast. The fear is most pleasurable for the child because it drives him to her tender embrace, whereas the tenderness of all mothers is but a flash of divine mercy. That means there is a supreme pleasure in fear of God. If there is such a pleasure in fear of God, it is clear what infinite pleasure there is to be found in love of God. Moreover, one who fears God is saved from the calamitous and distressing fears of others. Also, because it is for God's sake, the love he has for creatures is not tinged with sorrow and separation. Indeed, man loves firstly himself, then his relations, then his nation, then living creatures, then the universe and the world. He is connected with all these spheres. He may receive pleasure at their pleasure and pain at their pain. However, since nothing is stable in this world of upheavals and revolutions, swift as the wind, man's wretched heart is constantly wounded. The things his hand cling onto tear at them as they depart, even severing them. he remains in the perpetual distress, or else plunges into heedless drunkenness. Since it is thus, my soul, if you have sense, gather together all those loves and give them to their true owner. Be saved from them, from those calamities. These infinite loves are particularly to one possessing infinite perfection and beauty. When you give it to its own true owner, you will be able to love everything without distressing in his name and his mirrors. That means this love should not be spent directly on the universe. Otherwise, while being a delicious bounty, it becomes a grievous affliction. There is another aspect besides, O soul, and it is the most important. You spend all your love on yourself. You make your own soul your object of worship and beloved. You sacrifice everything for your soul. Simply, you ascribe to it a sort of dominicality, whereas the cause of love is either perfection, because perfection is love for itself, or it is benefit, or it is pleasure, or it is goodness, or it causes like these. Now, O soul, in several of the words, we have proved decisively that your essential nature is needed out of fault, deficiency, poverty, and impotence. And like the relative degree of darkness and obscurity shows the brightness of light with regard to opposites, you act as a mirror through them to the perfection, beauty, power, and mercy of the beauteous Creator. That means, O soul, that it is not love you should have for your soul, but enmity, or you should pity it, or after it is at peace, have compassion on it. If you love your soul because it is the source of pleasure and benefit, and you're captivated by the delights, do not prefer the pleasure and benefit of the soul, which is a mere jot, to infinite pleasure and benefits. Do not resemble a firefly, for it drowns all your friends and the things you love in the darkness of desolation, and suffices with a tiny glimmer in itself. You should love a pre-eternal beloved on whose gracious favors are dependent on all the pleasures and benefits of your soul, together with all the benefits and bounties and creatures of the universe with which you are connected and from which you benefit, from which you profit, and through whose happiness you are happy. So then you may take pleasure at both your own and their happiness, and receive an infinite pleasure from the love of the absolute perfect one. Anyway, your intense love for yourself and your soul is love for the divine essence, which you misuse and spend on your own self, in which case, rend the egotism in your soul and show him. All your loves dispersed through the universe are love given to you to spend on his names and attributes. You have used it wrongly and you're suffering the penalty. For the penalty of an illicit, misspent love is merciless torment. For sure, one particle of the love of a pre-eternal beloved who, through the names of most merciful and compassionate, has prepared a dwelling like paradise adorned with houris for you, in which all the bodily desires will be gratified, and through others of his name has readied for you in that paradise everlasting favors that will satisfy all the longings of your spirit, heart, mind, and other subtle inner faculties, and in all whose names are contained many treasuries of grace and munificence. One particle of his love may take the place of the whole universe, but the universe cannot take the place of even a particular manifestation of his love, in which case heed this pre-eternal decree with that pre-eternal beloved cause, his own beloved, to announce and follow it. If you love God, follow me, and God will follow you. Should I continue?
Otherwise, you will really die.
Jazakallah khairan. So, just to give a sort of a backstory for this text, we have been studying the third branch of this text for the past couple of weeks. But this text itself is a long text, and the author is making a long point. Just to give a brief idea about what we were up to so far. In the first like the 24th word is about the verse and interpretation to the verse. Allahu la ilaha illahu lahul asma'ul husna. God, there is no God but He. His are the most beautiful names. This is what the entire text was about. And in the progression of the text, he started with, what does it mean that God has the most beautiful names? And in the first branch, he was giving us an example of how to read divine names through the existence. This is how he started. In the second branch, he talked about if the truth behind the existence is divine names, then why are there so many different variations of interpretation? Like there are philosophers, there are Muslim philosophers, there are saints, there are prophets, like so many variations. So if the truth of existence is divine names, why is there so many variations? This is what he addressed in the second. And there he was mentioning how prophetic way of reading the universe is the most refined version of reading. We didn't study these two texts. The third branch was the part that we studied, which was now that authors claim is that prophetic way of reading the universe would be the most proper way of reading the universe. Then came the problem of how do I get to receive prophetic perspective? And since hadith narrations were one of them, and there are a lot of, if you like, debates or whatever happening around it, he gave us a perspective about how to read prophetic narrations. Then comes the fourth branch. Again, this is something that we did not study. In the fourth branch, he talks about creation and says there are, in this creation, there are different type of worshippers, if you like. He mentions plants, animals, angels, humans, and how these are creatures experiencing the universe and praising the creator with that. And now we are reading the fifth branch. And the fifth branch started with, let me go back to the fifth branch. It was what? 73? No. 70. So in the fifth branch, he talked about love. And the point that he now starts talking about love is beauty is loved. Human loves that which is beautiful. The very beginning verse was saying that Allahu la ilaha illahu lahul asma'ul husna. All beautiful names belongs to him only. So in a sense now he is tying what he has been building up so far. Like divine names are out there, or anything that you observe in this existence, like we call it a cute baby, or we call it a delicious food. Like these are all things that we take as beautiful. And if I ask, why do you like this brother? We say that, oh, he is a very honest person. Like we talked about a good quality of a person. This is why I like that person, right? Why do you like her mom? Because she's so generous, she's so merciful, like some quality that's worthy to be loved. Then if you go with this, there are different ways to read those names. There are ways to read it from a philosophical perspective. Philosophy would say that you love your mom because she is the source of benefits and you need to survive, hence you love it. It's like a totally based on benefits. But there's a prophetic way of loving mom as well, because you can say that, no, my mom is reflecting the most merciful to me. So this is the spectrum that we are now talking about. One is a purely materialistic way of loving your mom or loving your wife or loving your friend. The other one is loving your youth, parents, mom, wife in a prophetic way, in that spectrum. And now the first fruit is talking about this. How is love involved and what is the proper way of loving? Because if I don't love properly, I suffer. This is the other end. It's not like you're going to go to hell and burn. Like he's really practically talking about the outcomes of love in your day-to-day life. what happens if I mislove or properly love? So this is, in a nutshell, what the first fruit is about, or just to put it into context. So if there is any comment, anything that attracted your attention so far, we can talk about it. If not, we can read it slowly once more. Okay, let's read it slowly once more. Text is a little loaded, but read it as it speaks to you. Like this is really talking about you here and now, and think about the loves that you have, whatever you love more in life, and whether it rings any bells on this front. First fruit. O my self-worshipping soul, O my world-worshipping friend, love is the cause of the universe's existence and what binds it. And it's both the light of the universe and its life. Since man is the most comprehensive fruit of the universe, a love that will conquer the universe has been included in his heart, the seed of that fruit. Like humans' seed is human's heart, and it's good for, it harbors a love which can conquer an entire universe. Thus, only one possessing infinite perfection may be worthy of such an infinite love. Only one possessing infinite perfection may be worthy of such an infinite love. O soul and O friend, two faculties through which one may experience fear and love has been included in man's nature. This love and fear are bound to be turned towards either creatures or creator. However, fear of creatures is a grievous affliction, while love for them is a calamitous tribulation. That's an interesting statement. Fear of creatures is a grievous affliction. I guess we can relate to that. While love for creatures is a calamitous tribulation. Why? For you will fear people who will neither pity you nor accept your pleas for mercy. So fear is a grievous calamity. I think that's clear. As for love, the one you love will either not recognize you or will depart without bidding you farewell, like your youth and your property. Or else he will despise you because of your love. Have you not noticed that in 99 out of 100 cases of metaphorical love, the lover complains about the beloved? For to love and idolize worldly beloveds with the inner heart, which is the mirror of eternally besought one, oppresses the beloved. The love oppresses the beloved. And he finds it disagreeable and rejects it. Because man's nature rejects and casts away things that are contrary to it and unworthy of it. Physical loves are outside our discussion. By physical loves in here, he means like sexual desires. That is to say, the things you love either will not recognize you, or they will scorn you, or they will not accompany you. They will part from you in spite of you. Since this is so, direct your fear and love to the one by whom your fear will become pleasurable abasement, and your love a shadowless happiness. Yes, to fear the glorious Creator means finding a way to his compassionate mercy. So what does it mean to fear God? To fear the glorious Creator means finding a way to his compassionate mercy and taking refuge in it. Fear is a whip. It derives you into the embrace of his mercy. What does that mean? It's well known that a mother gently scares her infant, for example, and draws it to her breast. That fear is most pleasurable for the child because it derives him to her tender embrace. Whereas the tenderness of all mothers is but a flash of divine mercy. That means there is a supreme pleasure in fear of God. If there is such pleasure in fear of God, it is clear what infinite pleasure there is to be found in love of God. Moreover, one who fears God is saved from the calamitous and distressing fear of others. Also, because it is for God's sake, the love he has for creatures is not tinged with sorrow and separation. So, maybe one more paragraph and then we can discuss what has been said. Indeed, man loves first himself, then his relations, then his nation, then living creatures, then the universe and the world. He is connected with all these spheres. He may receive pleasure at their pleasure and pain at their pain. However, since nothing is stable in this world of upheavals and revolutions, swift as the wind, since nothing is stable in this world of upheavals and revolutions swift as the wind, man's wretched heart is constantly wounded. The things his hands cling onto tear at them as they depart, even severing them. He remains in perpetual distress, or else plunges into heedless drunkenness. Since it is thus, my soul, if you have sense, gather together all those loves and give them to their true owner. Be saved from those calamities. These infinite loves are particular to one possessing infinite perfection and beauty. When you give it to its true owner, you will be able to love everything without distress in his name and as his mirrors. That means this love should not be spent directly on the universe. Otherwise, while being a delicious bounty, it becomes a grievous affliction. So let's pause here. What do you think about love? Do you agree with his statement that, I guess fear part is clear. Fear is painful. But like being afraid of some president of a banana republic deporting you, like having this sort of a fear is painful, understandable. But how about loving someone? How is it painful? Or loving something, how is it painful? Husbands and wives should give examples from outside of marriage life. For the fear of, now you can talk about fruits, whatever. Okay. You can talk about Ibrahim, like your love to Ibrahim, but not to wife. So
The question is, how can love be bad, right?
Yeah.
I mean, if you love anything that is taking you away from Allah, ultimately that will lead to your destruction in this life and in the hereafter. And there are many very obvious examples. For example, someone who loves money too much, they'll spend their whole life trying to gain money, and that will impact the rest of their life. Someone who loves chicken wings too much will, yeah. I mean, I like chicken wings a lot, but if you have a very intense love for chicken wings that you eat them like 3 times a week, ultimately that will damage your health and will damage your life. And I'll see you in the clinic. So any of these are just obvious examples, but any love that ultimately is taking you away from Allah will lead to negative consequences.
okay. So yes, okay, there are 2 hands. Oh no, I just was the hand. Okay. Power.
So I think one of the things that I'm getting about love, and I think it's not just things that you love that are bad for you, like in a worldly sense. I think one of the qualities of love is that it should be eternal, as in one of the things that like the passage is describing is that like all loves will like scorn you or leave you or ultimately like will depart. And one of the qualities of true love is that it's eternal. So and ultimately there's only one source of eternal love. So basically it's like that needs to be oh my God, I'm sorry. So ultimately that needs to be like the seat of love is like anything that you do love must be secondary. It must this is the part that I'm still trying to wrap my head around is like the mirror and what it means to basically like have everything you love that is not God be in the mirror of God's love. Which if I'm understanding it correctly means like you love things for the sake of God or through God, but that love for God is like the primary love.
Mr. Zareen was saying something there.
I guess one part that drew my attention was the part of the thing that I love eventually like hating me or despising me for my love for it, because I can understand if I love something and I realize that loving it for the sake of itself is not going to benefit me. If it's something transient, it's going to disappear, and that's going to bring me pain because I need something to satisfy this love. So I can see it maybe from my side where I'm experiencing maybe this pain or this hurt from loving something in an improper way, but this idea that the thing I love, especially for like if we're talking about inanimate object, like how will chicken wings hate me if I or scorn me if I love them too much. So
Very beautiful points. Just to open up the topic a little more, the author was making a point saying that human heart is made for infinite love. Can you agree with that statement? Like your heart is made to love infinitely? If yes, why? Like what is the sign for that? Like really, my heart is like, for example, my stomach is not made for eating infinite food, right? Because once you put a certain amount of food in there, it says, I am done. I don't want any more. So if heart is made to love infinitely, this should mean that it will ask for more. Whatever you put there, it would say, I need more. Do you feel the sense of this? No? Yes? I see some yeses, some no's.
Like when love ceases, there's grieving, there's heartbreak.
Mm-hmm. When love, can you say it again for the microphone? Yeah.
When love ceases, there's heartbreak or grieving.
Okay. So
whereas in the stomach example that you gave, like when food ceases, there's no,
Mhm. That's right. Once you eat, you feel satiated. But let's say you love someone, but you never get satiated. So can we say that this as an example? Because the thing that either, as he says, either the thing that you love doesn't appreciate your love or just goes away without bidding a farewell to you. And he gives the example of your youth or your wealth. Like, I love my youth, I love my wealth, but I would like to keep it. And this is how it happens with people who are obsessed with their cars, for example. They would like to shine it so much or whatever, but then just the car gets old or a new brand comes in. It's not as good as that person used to. So you feel like my heart is more than what this car is. Like the attachment starts disturbing. This is the case with the cars, but it even sometimes the case with your kids. Today, I was talking to my mom, like after so many years of agony with children from different angles, and she poured all her love and life towards the kids. And we are 4 siblings. Everybody tested her love from different perspectives, for sure, as anybody can relate to, I guess, since you guys are kids of your parents at some point. So she's now at a point that she said, and I'm hearing this for the first time from my mom today. She says, my conclusion is that you should not, you should love someone, but from distance. Do not get too caught up with it, because it's starting to cause troubles. Because you're really starting to love that thing and contain it within yourself. In the case of the car is getting old. In the case of child wants independence, or child start criticizing you, and your love is being hurt because you thought you were the ideal father, ideal parent. And now your child says, Mom, you should, since her mom is here, I just looked at her. This is an ongoing conversation in the breakfast. So. Mom wants to cook it this way, and she says, no, do it that way. And mom is getting offended because this is how you should do it, right? And now the child who she was a baby, and now she starts saying that, no, you should do it that way. Like, these are all the things that are hurting this. Your feeling of love is really getting hurt because you're not being loved. This is what it means. You thought you would be the ideal mom, and she doesn't love how you cook. I mean, she does. Okay.
It's not generalized.
Generalized. I'm generally speaking, not for Maryam. So, human heart wants infinite love, but the things that we love. So I will read the sentence again. Love for them is a calamitous tribulation. Love for creatures is a calamitous tribulation. This was his statement. Like, loving things is a calamity. Loving your child is a calamity. Loving your mom is a calamity. I'm not talking about just loving your wealth. Because yes, it's an easy example to say that loving money is not so good. I guess generally we can relate to that somehow, especially if you're coming from a religious background. Loving money is not a good thing. Okay, let's put it aside. But how about loving your mom is a bad thing? Or how does it become a calamity? How does loving your child is a calamity? I'm not giving the example of loving your wife. Don't worry, folks. Loving your wife is also a calamity according to this statement. But if I say that, I guess we'll get stoned from this side of the room.
He meant me. I was criticizing.
So much so that he makes a statement. Have you not noticed that in 99 out of 100 cases of metaphorical love, the lover complains about the beloved? Any comments?
Jazakallah. So maybe two things that I would comment is that when we read such a text, the author takes a specific stance in which talks as a human being, not as a, let's say, a Muslim, right? He doesn't say, for instance, we Muslims, we should love God. He created us. He deserves our love. So we should love him. But rather he talks about the human beings, the nature of a human being, right? So this text should be, and it is applicable to any human being, believer or not believer. So we should take this as an opportunity to also, let's say, train ourselves how to approach such topics. That's one thing, and I will expand it a bit, what I mean with that. The second thing is, the moment we talk about love, it sounds, a bit nasty, and also as if we're just talking about loving the opposite sex. But the examples author give, love toward your youth, love toward property. Right? So obviously it's talking something more generic here. And maybe the attraction towards something, enjoying the presence of something. For instance, I have pain across my joints. Thank you, Huda. So, and I realize how much I love my health, flexibility, right? My strength. So these are maybe easier examples that we can study. So going back to the first point, being a human being, what I mean with that, so text starts with trying to understand the human being. He says, when you look at the human, you will realize, like you look at yourself, right? You will realize that your relationship with the existence and your attraction towards things, your enjoyment of things, there is no limit there. Like nobody would say, okay, I have enough enjoyment, or I had enough, the pleasure out of things. I'm not interested in, more love in my life. That's enough for me. You wouldn't have such moments, right? You will love the people around you. You will love what you have. You will love what you see around, the trees, birds, clouds, your car, your phone, everything that you enjoy. But you will know that there's always something new that will attract your attention. You would say, okay, I want this as well. This also gives me pleasure, enjoyment. There is no end there. And when you think about it, like we take such things as granted usually. When you think about it seriously, deeply, this is a very strange thing. Like you as a human being, a very limited, like a creature, flesh and bone, a certain amount of blood circulating in your body, the certain shaped brain. But when it comes to your relationship with the creation, the existence, there's no end. It's infinite. And you can take this to other faculties you have as well. Your curiosity, for instance, infinite. Your need for understanding things or knowledge, infinite. There's no end. You cannot even imagine a human being, he would say, besides getting older and not being able to think, he would say, okay, that's enough for me to know. I'm not interested in this or that. You cannot even imagine such a person. The humanity is in its entirety. When you look at the history of the humanity, right? We are interested in everything. No matter how much we understand, it's not enough. So you can apply the same thing to love as well. How you enjoy things in this creation, there is no end. How this is so? Right? As the Yusuf gave the beautiful example of your stomach and food, there's an end there. Right? You are a physical being, and there's a physical limit there. You cannot eat more than, let's say, 15 or 25 chicken wings, one shot. 26 will be too much, right? You will eat it and stop at 27, but it will be there is always a limit. When it comes to love, no. So the author starts questioning, what is this? What am I supposed to do with this faculty I have? Right? Because when you have a need, when you have a potential for something, it doesn't stop there. You have to use it somewhere, right? The need for understanding, for instance. You have to understand something. Otherwise, it wouldn't, leave you alone. It will keep bothering you. The love. If you don't have anything to enjoy, to love, you cannot live. You will be even like a physically ill if you cannot love enough. Our doctors will know that, right? So what am I supposed to do with it then? There are one option, obvious option in front of you, that loving everything around you that you can. Love the people that you enjoy. Love the food, property, your health, your youth. But every time you do that, you realize none of them, with no exception, even your wife, with no exception, can satisfy this need. Can give you this momentary or temporary, the enjoyment, but you would say this is not enough. And what will happen? If you keep doing this, you will love and they will leave you. What I mean, or what the author means with leaving you, don't take it as, again, you love your the husband or your wife or your mom, and she's just saying that, wow, I'm sick of you, I'm leaving the house. He's not talking about that, obviously. But one moment, you think that she is the best thing in this creation. And the second moment, she starts snoring. Right? The one moment, you think this child is the best thing, and I made it, I love it, you say. The next thing, you see that your child is not that clever. There's a more clever child in the neighborhood. So it's always like that. Your house is beautiful, but his house is more beautiful. Or your genes are perfect. You found the perfect genes that you were looking for. The next day, there's a tear. So that's the reality of human being. And he says, what are you going to do with this then? Obviously, he says, your infinite need for love requires infinite love, infinite source of love. Something that you can love and it will be enough for your heart. You have to look for this, he says. It's like a call for looking for this. So going back to our brother, the comment at the very beginning, when we say things are taking our attention from loving God, hence harmful, how we should read it in light of the methodology of this author instead. When we try to love things, we fail, we realize that this is not the right target. Only when you realize that, now you can say that there must be something out of this creation that would satisfy my love. And I call it as he for now, or huwa in Arabic. I don't know what it is, but there must be something. And I'm looking for it. And then Quran comes, the revelation, and tells you, oh, do you know who this huwa, the he? I call it as Allah. You can call it as Allah, he says, and then explains. So then the Allah becomes the conclusion. You have a need, you try to satisfy it, it fails every time. You realize nothing in this universe can satisfy, and you say there must be an infinite source of love that can satisfy this need. And whatever it is, my love is directed toward that. When we do this, this is like reading the text as a human being.
Jazakallah khairan. So, any comments? What do you think about the love? I mean, can we relate to? I guess still I am there. Can we relate to this statement of human hearts, love, not being able to get satiated with anything? And by anything, I'm leaving God to the end of the sentence. It's not. We are not there yet. Let's start talking about our experiences. You love your hair; it looks so good, right, Khadir? So, like something that you love so much, and do you find anything that you love? This is how we get attached to things that satisfies you, and you said, "I'm okay with this," or is it becoming a source of pain? Because this is how the author is really starting our journey. You love something, and it's becoming a source of pain. Yes.
But like if ultimately our love should be towards God, wouldn't I feel like the love towards God can also be a source of pain? Because like if I don't know what you mean, because we talked before about what it means to love God, right? And one of the things is like you show this love by like obeying God, by like following his prophet and like the way his prophet lived and so on. And that's by, obeying him, or like what we reach to like worship. But then if you cannot be up to that standard, like what you want to be, how you want to show God your love, that could also be kind of like a pain for you in some sense. Because like, you could never be like, I mean, I wouldn't compare it to like, let's say when you love your parents and you feel like you can never be good enough for them, you're not doing enough, but it's something like that. Like, I'm not like expressing my love to God the way I should, although I claim to be, but somehow like, I'm not like maybe praying enough or doing good enough or whatever. Is that like the real love that we're talking about? Like, should it be expressed in this way ultimately? Because then I feel like it also can also be like a source of pain. If like, a believer feels that he's not expressing this love the way he should be.
Also, when thinking about your statement, we should also remember we discussed this before, but just to rediscuss it again. When we say loving God, what does that mean, right? Because especially if you're brought up in a Muslim setup, loving God is something that's being talked about so much, but we have very probably little experience about what it is. So when we are using this term, we should also remember what do I mean when I say I love God, right? And whether do I love him enough or whatever. So what do I mean? What is the practical outcome of it? Because whatever conversation we are having in here must be experiential. So we are talking about our experiences. So inshallah, we will get there. Let's think about what Sister Sarah was mentioning. But are we clear to a certain extent about the pain that love brings? Because I do find this very important and valuable, because like when it comes to, I mean, I do see some parents in the online audience, but loving your parents, how is it becoming painful? Loving your youth, like I'm young, this is why you go to gym, right? You do enjoy having those muscles and whatnot. How is it becoming painful? I mean, other than muscle pain, I'm not talking about the muscle pain that you have, the sour muscle pain, but what sort of a pain does it bring in? You might be loving your career. What sort of a pain does it bring in? And I'm not talking about the failure in your career. I mean, definitely failure brings in pain, but how about the success bringing pain with it? Because you would like to have more. Because the problem in here really looks like this is, I think, the heart of today's topic. Love is made for loving unendingly. And whatever you put a finger on to say that I love this, it is finite and it departs. This is why it's painful. Two hands in there, and Ibrahim got the microphone. Okay, can we give a microphone there?
I think one of the things about what you're saying and what you said is like, is it okay for love to bring pain? I think like with the examples you're giving, like youth, career, it's like you can give because you can give effort towards anything you love. And I think anything you love, you want to give effort. So even something like youth, it's like you can invest a lot of effort into going to the gym and to getting like expensive face creams or like eating, healthy fats, whatever, all the things that like bring youth. But eventually, even though you continue to put effort into these things, it's not going to matter anymore. Like eventually, like if you hit 80 years old, even if you continue going to the gym, even if you continue putting like the most expensive cream on your face, it's going to cease. Or like with your kids, it's like even if you continue to, like one of the ways you express love for your kids, you cook food for them. Even if you continue to like cook food for them, one day they're going to be like, oh, mom, I don't like this. Or like, oh, my little siblings already do this to me, So I think that's the point, is not that there won't be pain and that it's not going to require effort, because love always requires effort, but that there's always a recipient, because like youth will eventually stop being a recipient. Your career will eventually stop being a recipient. Your children will eventually stop being a recipient. Like every other recipient of love is going to not care about the effort, basically.
Sister Aisha?
Yeah, it's just about what you said about love being human hearts. Human hearts was created for infinite love. I don't know if I can see that, because as Brother Burkan was saying about how we loving things and they cannot satisfy our needs, and so it starts to become a pain. I think that the moment I think that is exactly why love is not infinite, because once the first phase of this love is like it's ethereal and it's beautiful and you enjoy the presence, but as soon as the need kicks in, this is when the love, now it's like you're containing the thing, so now it becomes control, it becomes possession, it's no longer love. So this is why I feel like the pain is because the love is not infinite the way we think it is, I think. And I guess maybe this kind of goes into what Sada was saying about, how are we loving God? Because you, by nature, you cannot contain Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So your love for him won't converge into this type of containment. So I feel like it's a different love. I feel like love for things is finite, because I don't know if it's because the things are finite or because just the way we love things are finite because we try to control them. But love for Allah, we already know intuitively, whether people believe in Allah or not, we know intuitively that cannot be contained. Because, when you love your child, or when you love them as much as you can control them, or as much as you feel like they belong to you, as soon as you have a feeling that they don't belong to you anymore, that's when it's not satisfying your need anymore. So then is that really love? So this is why I was just, I was just thinking about that. I don't know what others think.
So love is painful for a few reasons, as he is mentioning in here. One is either the thing that you love does not recognize you. This is one reason that love is painful. Like you love someone or something, but that thing doesn't reciprocate your love. This is heartbreaking. I guess the best example for that is in human relations. You love someone, but that person doesn't care even about you, doesn't recognize you. Like you love your child so much, but your child really thinks that you don't know anything, for example. This is such a heartbreaking moment, right? Or will depart without bidding you farewell. This is another reason. You love something, but you would like to be in the vicinity of the thing that you love. You would like to be interacting with that. If it's a friend, you would like to be together with the friend. If it's parents, you would like to be with the parents. You don't want them to depart. But either you depart or they depart. And people do not depart all at once. Like as parents get old, you will realize that that parent is not the parent who raised me, because she's becoming more impatient. She used to be nicer, now she's tired or losing her memory and this and that. Like people are dying over time, actually. It doesn't happen overnight. So the thing that you loved, I mean, I guess the extreme case is when the parents become Alzheimer's disease. Physically, the person is there, but you know that your mom is not there anymore. So you loved her, but she's not there anymore. So it's hurting because what you loved disappeared. It went away. So it looks like my heart wants to get attached to something and enjoy it, but whatever it enjoys is not staying there. It just goes away. I want more of it, but it goes away. This is why love itself becomes a calamity. Sometimes it happens that, I guess the example that we talked about in one of the previous discussions was, like, imagine a young couple gets married and they have their child, and like age 3, when the child is the cutest, nicest time. And I mean, God forbid, but child passes away. Like, what sort of a collapse would this induce on this family? So much so that they would say, if only we hadn't even known that child in the first place, because love of the child was with us for 3 years, but now lack of child is with us forever. Like, love was with us for 3 years only. We were enjoying the presence of the child for 3 years, but now we have to endure lack of this child for so long. So their love became so much of a troublemaker for them, so much so that they would say, if only we didn't have the child in the first place, at least we wouldn't be suffering right now. So this is how love is. But why? Because it looks like one way to handle this is either freeze the child, which you cannot, freeze the parents, freeze your car or something, which, I mean, this is against how the existence is happening. So are we doomed? Like, this then becomes the problem. Is human doomed? Given that you have this higher heart and you get attached to something, like you cannot help it. Either you get attached to, I don't know, your muscles or your cars or horses. We have a friend who is obsessed with horses. Like, to me, really, it's ununderstandable. Like, how come? Like, horses, come on. But that brother is truly into horses. Like, it looks like probably I have something in my life that he would be taking it so funny. But this is how human heart is. We get attached to something. What do we do then? Because all this love brings in pain. This is the bottom line. All the love brings in pain. Sooner or later, like sometimes I guess it kicks in with bigger events in life. Because maybe we are not, once I was having a discussion with a group of college students, and the topic somehow came to love. One of the kids talked about pain of love. And I said, oh, it looks like you loved someone. And then people started laughing. Because when you experience a certain type of love and heartbreak from that, it really becomes a breaking point in your life. But otherwise, if you pay attention in our everyday life, we experience this pain back and forth. Even in the love for chicken wings. Like, you love it, you eat 25, your love for chicken wings is not satiated, but your stomach now says we cannot go any further. You have to stop, right? So it leaves a pain. But what does this tell us? What does this pain tell us? Like, this is a creation, hence it has a message in there. What does this pain of love tell us? Because it looks like it's so central. And now author is saying that this love is put there. I mean, if anything, what it says is you are misusing it. Either you would say, I don't want to love anything because it brings more headache than fun. But you love something anyways. What do you do? Of course, it's nice to have the easy example, we should love God. But what does it mean to love God? Like, you don't do you really know what God is in the first place that you would say, I love God, right? How do we resolve this pain, human agony of love? This is what the conversation is about. Okay? Yes. Take it, please.
Is it on?
Yeah.
So I think I don't think pain is necessarily a bad thing. And the experience of pain and sadness is not something that like should take you away from love. And it's not a sign of false love either. But you know, the Prophet himself had an entire year of sadness when he lost his wife and his uncle. So I think what makes these emotions good or bad is if they are properly oriented or not. And the same for love. It is good or bad if it is properly oriented or not. Because I think, I'm not sure, but you know, many things are created in pairs. Perhaps the pair of love is something that is not love. But that does not mean like some pairs there is like good and bad, but some pairs there is like just two different sides of something, like night and day. So maybe love is one side and pain is another side, perhaps. And when the Prophet had his year of sadness, of course we would never say that sadness is wrong, or that pain was wrong, or that his love for those people was wrong. That was all correct because his love for his wife and his uncle was for the sake of Allah. Like he loved the goodness that they represented. He loved the signs of Allah that they represented or that they reflected. So when that is taken away, then that pain is natural and good. And I think to the other sister's point earlier about, can love for God also cause pain? I'm nowhere near this level, but the feelings of like sadness and pain and longing, I think those are like various stages of very like high love for God, where like one can experience like, fear of their past sins, or like sadness for, maybe seeing an injustice that they can't correct, or like, longing to be with God and they're not in his presence, like they're not close enough to God. So I think these like it's, if the love is proper, then the pain from it that can arise is also proper.
So just to tie this to the conversation here. So I guess the part, the things his hands cling unto, tear them as they depart, even severing them. So the metaphor that he gives for this one is like a train is going very fast. And you do see roses, like you're inside a train and the train goes very fast. And on the side, there are rose bushes. Since they're beautiful, you just take your hand out to try to get some rose from there. The moment your hand touches the rose, it hurts because rose has thorns. And as the train is going fast, it's even just making huge scars in your hand, bleeding it. So author likens this to how we love things in this life. I mean, a rose is beautiful, or my youth is beautiful, but as I touch it, it hurts. And as it departs so fast, it makes a huge scar in my hand. What does this mean? Like the moment you love a cute baby, if you are conscious, drunkenness is one way to maybe temporarily get saved from this. But a cute baby is just reminding you of this cuteness disappearing if you pay attention to it. Like you get an anxiety of losing it. I guess we can relate to this when it comes to wealth. If you become wealthy, the problem of how am I going to preserve the wealth immediately starts kicking in. If you are poor, you don't have such worries. But if you are wealthy, how am I going to preserve it? Because we are living in a economical environment where if you don't invest properly, the money is going to decay and whatnot, right? Or even people can come and steal it. So the moment you touch it, there's pain. but also as it departs quickly or you depart quickly, it severs. So more pain comes in. This is totally an improper type of pain because of my wrong attachment. He talked about a proper sort of a fear, which produces love. So I guess this was a separate thing that we didn't discuss too much. But overall, this sort of the problem in here is my heart is not made for that type of attachment. Bottom line is this: my heart is not made for that type of attachment. I'm not supposed to love my wife like this. I'm not supposed to love my child like this. I'm not supposed to love my parents like this. The pain in there, that type of pain in there is coming from my wrong way of approaching them. Then how am I going to properly love them? Because love of God really would still mean that, how do you experience love of God? Again, it's going to be through loving your child, loving your parent, loving your wife, because how else do you know your creator? Like, you know your creator through creation. Like, other than chicken wings, how are you going to experience love of your creator? Because in the first place, you know your creator because of chicken wings. If not, then there's a problem already. Like, if my chicken wings is a separate thing, God's a separate thing, then if I'm living such a secular life, this is why I am experiencing some sort of a suffering from my relationship with chicken wings. Then how do I love, or how do I direct this love properly so that I don't feel pain? Brother Kadir, with his last discussion and last wish.
So, can we just touch a bit about love and expectations? Like, how do we manage those two things? Like, I think the most painful thing about me, maybe personally, maybe it's different for other people, is that the pain, it comes from expectations. It's like when you love someone, you expect certain things from them. And then when you see that those things are not being fulfilled for them, and then it's like a very painful thing. And as for the creator as well, like, can I expect some things from my creator as well? Like, and sometimes I expect things from my creator and those are not fulfilled. And in that way, that is painful as well. So is there no concept of like expectations in love, or like, is there a concept that we have to manage there?
I guess the expectation part is true. Actually, he even made a comment about why the beloved is going to, like he said, the lover oppresses the beloved. This was a very interesting statement. Lover oppresses the beloved with their infinite love, so much so that the beloved says, go away. Just because of that expectation, actually. Like, you love someone and you think that that person is the best. It might be your friend. You love your friend so much. And with your love, you want that friend to be, if you like, perfect, without any issues, without any problems in their life. Come on, I'm just a common dude. Like, let me be making mistakes, that person would say, and they would start despising your love. And because of this reason, you will start, since your love is not being reciprocated, it's going to be painful. That's what he meant by, like in there, he was referring to, what was it? Metaphorical love. I don't know if you guys are familiar with the concept of metaphorical love. No? Like in Islamic literature, there's this stories of Layla and Majnun. You heard about Layla and Majnun? Like these type of stories has the gist of two people loving each other, and then this love is not being satisfactory. Like, Majnun loves Layla so much so, and then realizes that Layla cannot satiate this love, cannot address this love. And as a result, he finds Mevla, like the creator. Like, since Majnun loves so much, but Layla is a transitory being, cannot be worthy of this much love. Realizing this, then he says, oh, this love is not made for Layla. This love is made for the creator, Mevla. So this is what he means by metaphorical love. But we do love things with that too. Especially I'm realizing this with when it comes to sometimes loving like a teacher. I did hear people criticizing a sheikh or someone and saying that, oh, he is doing this and that. Like, I mean, okay, he's a human being. Let him make mistakes. But the love that I have for such a person, and then seeing a mistake in there, it's just dropping down so much in my eyes. That person falls down so quickly. Because I thought, like, he has to be worthy of my love, and he has to be, or she has to be sinless, like perfect. My heart is not given to have that type of love, or anything in this world is not worthy of my love. Let's put it this way. But then, this is why he concluded saying that those infinite love can only be worthy of someone who is infinite. But anything in this universe is finite. So how do I tackle with this? Like, human heart should love someone who doesn't die. Show me one thing in this universe which doesn't die, which doesn't get old. So in this regard, then, bringing it back to what sister was mentioning, what does it mean that I will love things as mirrors so that I'm not going to have pain? Seeing things as mirrors rather than things themselves. What do you think, Arsalan? How can you love things as mirrors? Since you read it, I read it once more on top of your reading, and you had enough time to think about it now, and your wife is sitting right next to you as a mirror. How do you love her as a mirror so that it's not going to be pure? Oh yeah, we are not talking about wives. Yes, we don't want to have trouble when we go back home. Would you like to give it a shot about Brother Birkan? Okay. If you give the wrong answer,
Yeah, that's not
Sister Sarah is just going to come after. Okay. Then maybe we should ask Sister Sarah, so that now we give the opportunity to you to go after her.
Yeah,
Brother Someone's trying to help.
no.
Okay. So
So I think one important point about the whole topic is things start making sense only when we look at the creation as something meaningful. And there must be a meaning of this. When we say that, it becomes, this text becomes maybe will be better understood.
by these, you mean, for example, chicken wings, like
Everything,
this sort of
or pain or love.
Okay.
So, like, for like, what is the opposite? We can take a naturalistic perspective. We can say that this is the human being. When a human being loves such a thing, there's a pain, and there's a psychological mechanism to explain that, right? There's a coupling of, I just made up this, term. There's this coupling of love, pain, the thing, or maybe the cycle. Okay. The human being has the pain, love cycle, and because of that, which is evolved, all these millions of years to prevent us from this and that. We can take such an attitude, and we can say that, okay, I explain thing, I love thing, and they give me pain. But it's just a story that I narrated. It becomes, let's say, interesting when I take the attitude that I find myself in such a situation when I love things in a certain way, as you said. When I love things in a certain way, I realize the pain comes. Okay? So it's not that, I create this love, but I find myself in such a situation. I didn't choose to love my youth, for instance. I didn't choose to love the specific food that I love. I find myself in such a loving position. It is given to me, right? So it's a message to be read. The same way, when I love things in a certain way, pain comes to me, or even to prophets. When they love things, sadness or pain comes. They don't create anything. I don't create anything. I find myself in such a situation. Pain is being created in me, or sadness is being created in me. What am I going to do with this? What does it mean? When I ask this question, things becomes, the opening. Otherwise, it becomes like, okay, I established the situation. When you love this way, as Kadir beautifully said, when we have these expectations, because these expectations are not satisfied, pain comes. What am I going to do? Oh, I will not have expectations. Is that the solution? We say, okay, I will, find a way to distract my attention. I will not be interested in this thing I am in love anymore, right? I will play games. Or I will stop having any expectation about my wife. Then I will be happy. It will not work. Because you cannot control things. The pain or expectation even is created in you. You don't have any say in it. So in that regard, everything is proper, yes. The love is proper, pain is proper, the expectation is proper. Why? They are created in you. Whoever is creating, the one who creates this entire universe as well, in a wise fashion, right? I observe this in the creation. I say, okay, there must be a wisdom in that as well. Even my pain, suffering from the love is a proper suffering because it's created by the all-wise one, the one who created everything in this universe. The question is then, what is the wisdom? We cannot just accept things as like a naturalistic perspective, right? The naturalistic perspective would say, this is the case. When you hit the ball with such a force, it moves with that speed, and that's the only thing. But no, we ask the question, what is the wisdom? What message it carries to you? That what separates you from an unbeliever? That's the distinction between believer and unbeliever.
So that distinction is, like, I cannot say it is what it is, but I would say, really, what is it?
Exactly.
Like, what is its message? Rather than saying that, well, I'm doomed to take it as such, and I'm just bearing my burden, rather than saying it as such, what is the message?
Exactly. So when you have the pain, you say, okay, what is it telling me? You will ask. Just like the fear. We didn't study fear, but I think it's easier with the fear. When you have a fear, even like as mundane fear as somebody scaring you, like you're not expecting something, you're just walking and somebody jumps in front of you and say, oh, and you are so scared. Even in such fears, like stop for a moment and ask the question, what is happening here? What this fear is calling me towards? Right? as author says, the fear calls you towards protection. You will say, I'm so scared. I wish there was something to protect me. When you are a child, for instance, when you are afraid, what you do? First thing you say, do you do? Start crying, mom or dad. The first thing you do. Why? The mom and the father is your, what is it called?
Haven.
Whatever,
Safe haven.
the place that you, refuge, yes. They are your refuge. This creation is so wise, the creation of fear. It's like a call to tell you that you, as a human being, need protection. Right? When you ask the question, no. Otherwise, you just scared and slap the person who scared you and then continue living. But as a believer, what you do, say, what does this feeling mean? Why my creator created this feeling in me? It's not that person who scared me created this feeling. No, my creator created it. There must be a wisdom. And you say, it's calling me to the refuge. If when you are a child, the refuge is your mom. When you are older, you realize even your mom cannot protect you. What mom would do when the government deports you? Nothing. She cannot do anything, right? You realize that. But you are still in need of refuge. So the fear is a message telling you that you should find your refuge. Look for it and find it. Same thing, the pain. When you love something, pain comes. Pain is created. Why? It tells you something. It says the thing that you are loving, the way you love it, cannot satisfy you. It will not give you the pleasure you want. Just the opposite. Such a perfect, wise creation. You're looking for something, and opposite is given to you, so that through the contrast, you can best understand. Right? You were looking for pleasure, but the pain is given to you. Now you say that, okay, I'm on the wrong path. For every human being, even with the prophets, don't take it as a mistake. This is the experience through which you learn about your creator. More you have this experience and more you ask the questions, what does it mean? What message it brings to me? More you know your creator. You get closer and closer and closer. And as you get closer, the pain also, because you already got the lesson, becomes something else. It becomes the sadness. Sadness of the love being finite in this world, but the source is infinite, infinite, but you are still in this world. So for a prophet, for instance, it becomes a sadness of the separation from the true source of the love. Not the sadness of losing your wife. Right? Because wife didn't die for a prophet. For us, maybe, but sadness is still there. Why? Because still there is a kind of separation between you and your true source of love. So you're yearning for the, getting to him, like reunion. That's what the author used in another text. Yearning for the union. That's the sadness, the proper form. But for me, it's just pain, suffering. Because I use my love in the wrong way. And the suffering comes as a message barrier, telling me, they can change your direction.
Jazakallah khairan. So, if you final minutes, yes.
Just one question. I didn't actually understand the expectations part. So my reasoning behind is that what we learned, or what we were discussing even before, that there should never be an expectation from God, because it's like God has given us hands. Why do we expect that these hands should work for us? I mean, why are we expecting that? That's not like we're taking that for granted, that these things are given to us and these things should move. I mean, that's just a blessing from God. So I don't understand, like, why are we talking about the expectations? I mean, Kadeem was asking also the same thing. So I don't understand, like, should there be expectations?
No, I don't know about the expectations part, but definitely there are needs. Like, for example, if I close your nose right now, like, you will get red because you're truly in need of air. Like, this is how you are made. Without air, you cannot make it, right? So you are really existentially asking for air from your maker, from your creator. You are expecting your creator to give you life as well. Like, if I were to try to shoot you in the head, you wouldn't like it because you want to live. Like, this is some sort of a existential need of you. I mean, if you would like to phrase it as expectation, I mean, you do expect to receive life, or you do expect to receive air, like however you would like to frame it. But I guess the author frames it in here is, I am needy. I am in need of light. My eyes are in need of light. My ears are really in need of sound, because it's torturous to put people into cells where there's no sound, no color, right? These types of torture. These are all expectations or needs, if you like. But given those needs, and as I fulfill these needs, again, the problem of love pops up, because I love to be with them, but then separation is right there. Right next to attachment is detachment. This is how life is. Life is passing by. We are getting old. Things are departing. Parents are getting old. Friends are making mistakes in our lives. And there's always pain in life. So how do we resolve this issue? And just in a very quick way, I would like to, since we need to recap the conversation, how do I solve the issue? Because I'm loving the wrong thing. Let's put it this way. I am loving the wrong thing. If your mom is cooking you the best food, do you love the food, or do you love your mom cooking you the food? This is a metaphor. If you love the food, it's just going to taste maybe 20 minutes or so. After 20 minutes, food is gone. And if you overate, it's going to leave some pain in your stomach. Or you say that if only I should be able to eat more, but I'm not able to. There's going to be some sort of a regret after the food is gone. But at best, it's an enjoyable, memorable 20 minutes. And since it's in the past, still it's a separation, it's a pain. But if you were to love your mom offering you that food, even if the food is gone, your love towards your mother's gentle mercy persists, it stays. In this metaphorical example, loving the food, like, because it's the same experience, but in one, you fall in love with what your mom reflected her love through, which is the food. But if you were to take the food as a mirror of your mother's love, then loving the food simply becomes how you interact with your mother's love. And your mother's love in this example doesn't die. Food dies, right? 20 minutes, food is dead, food is gone. But if you take it as a mirror of your mom's love, even if the mirror goes away, what it pointed to stays behind. Even after the food is gone, you will keep loving your mom for that food. Food doesn't need to be there for this love to be alive. Now, apply this was a metaphor, apply to a higher level. The whole existence, if I love the things for themselves, they die. I get detached from them, and it leaves pain behind. But if I see them as reflection of my creator's beauty, this is how the full 24th word was starting with, Allahu la ilaha illahu lahul asma'ul husna, meaning whatever you see beautiful is just a reflection of his beauties. If you take it as such, even if the thing itself goes away, it was just a mirror. It was just like the food that went away, but that food was a means to tell you that your mom loves you. Now the creation becomes your experience with your parents, your experience with your child, even if the child goes away or I don't know, grows up or whatever. At that moment, this child means something to me of my creator that stays with me. That is lovable eternally because it doesn't die. That message does not die. So this is why I can now love my child, love my wife, love my parents as a mirror of my maker. What does my maker tell me by making me born into this family? What message do I read from here? That message stays, it doesn't die. If I love the relationship as such, then it becomes a trouble-free love. And this is what heart is made for. Heart is not made to love mom for mom. Heart is not made to love wife for wife. Heart is made to love wife so that through that mirror, what does my creator tell me? He shows me beauty, he shows me mercy, he shows me gentleness of himself, not of wife. Then if wife gets old, she is not as beautiful as she was when we first got married. Like people, like I'm getting old, my wife is getting old, like this physical reality. But the message that I read in there doesn't die, even if time passes by. With this lens, as I age, my wife ages, I would say, what new does my creator now reflect through her to me today? So she then becomes an ever bright and new mirror of love, of all divine names, not necessarily love. Then there's no pain in the second way. Or if there is some sort of a separation that, as Brother Basil was mentioning, if wife passes away, as happened to Prophet ﷺ, or when his son passed away, what's happening in this case is, it's not that the source of love is dying, like the creator is not dying, it's just that the mirror is getting broken. So he is having this remorse for this temporary disruption in there. There's a temporary disruption that's happening, which human heart gets sorry for that. But then you say, okay, there are many mirrors in this existence that reflect my creator's beauty, all beautiful names. So it's a huge difference. Still, you experience something in there, sure, but it's no way comparable to somebody's wife truly dying. As Brother Birkan is saying, wife doesn't die. Like Khadija did not die in the sense of an unbeliever's wife would die, because an unbeliever's wife would be the source of beauty for them. For Prophet, Khadija was a reflector of beauty. So the beautiful one didn't die. The source of the message didn't die. So this is how I should reformulate or redirect my love so that I do not leave the agony of this or pain of love in my life. So we are out of time. This is a long topic. Inshallah, we can continue next week. No fights tonight, inshallah. سبحانك لا علم لنا إلا ما علمتنا إنك أنت العليم الحكيم وآخر دعواهم أن الحمد لله رب العالمين. الفاتحة.